Welcome to a special edition of Jesse Watters Primetime. I'm Will Cain. Well, Donald Trump's been on a media spree this summer. He's appeared with popular streamer Aiden Ross. He's held hostile press conferences. He's played 18 holes of golf with Bryson DeChambeau on YouTube. And he sat down with Fox and Friends Weekend for 90 minutes. But last night, he talked with Elon Musk live on his social media platform X for 2 hours. There were some technical issues off the top, but once they got things rolling, the two were able to deep dive into the country's top issues, and millions tuned in.
It's nice to have a forum like this where I can discuss something at length. And by the way, you think Biden could do this interview? Do you think that Kamala could do this interview? They would take a pass on you.
No, they could not.
So they don't need Elon. They don't need Elon screaming out questions. It's pretty sad when you think that somebody that does this for a living can't answer a question or is afraid to do an interview.
Musk offered to host a conversation with Kamala as well, but she's been in hiding for 23 days, ever since she became the presumptive nominee. And she hasn't sat down for a single interview or held a single press conference. Instead of talking to Musk, Kamala's campaign called Trump and Musk, quote, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class. But Musk isn't some dyed-in-the-wool conservative. I mean, sure, he's now endorsed Donald Trump, but before that, he was an Obama guy.
I've not been very political before, and if you look at my record, I've actually been. I'm not like sometimes they try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd because I'm like making electric vehicles and solar and batteries, helping with the environment. Supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president. I call myself, historically a moderate Democrat, but now I feel like we're really at a critical juncture for the country.
Musk, like millions of Americans, just wants common sense policies that will help the country instead of hurting it. People start changing parties when they see dangerous streets, open borders, and poorer Americans.
The thing that they really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it doesn't matter what you make. The inflation has eaten you alive. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing that's happening. And we'll end that quickly.
Well, I think a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible? Right. And we need to live within our means.
Two billionaires boiled down the solution to inflation in under a minute. It's simple. The government needs to stop spending so much of our money and don't rope us into more endless wars. We need a president who can tame fiery foreign leaders with words, what used to be praised as diplomacy, instead of weapons.
I got along well with Kim Jong-un. When I met with President Obama just before entering, it's a sort of a ritual, and I sat down with him and we talked. I said, what's the biggest problem? He said, North Korea. I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and, all the different things. Yeah. But all of a sudden, I got a call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they were epic. Everything. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And then I called him Little Rocket Man.
It truly is stunning that Trump sat down with arguably the world's smartest man in an unscripted 2-hour conversation, and Kamala Harris won't field a single question. But that bravery hasn't won over the establishment. They don't like Donald Trump, and they don't like Elon Musk. It's probably because neither of them can be controlled. The more the establishment tries to squeeze Musk or Trump, the more they fight. Before the conversation, White House reporters were openly brainstorming how to stop the conversation, how to censor the former president.
Elon Musk is slated to interview Donald Trump tonight on X. I think that misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue. It's a America issue. What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that or stopping the spread of that or sort of intervening in that?
Yeah, no, and you've heard us talk about this many times from here about the responsibilities that social media platforms have when it comes to misinformation, disinformation. Don't have anything to read out from here about specific ways that we're working on it, but we believe that they have the responsibility.
The translation of that convoluted question is, how do we stop this conversation? That's the media asking for censorship, and that's the White House fantasizing about, again, gagging Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Axios reports that Kamala Harris's campaign is pushing out fake headlines on Google. The campaign is disguising ads as phony, flattering headlines from outlets like NPR, CNN, and the AP. Doesn't the campaign for Kamala Harris know they get that kind of flattery for free? They don't have to fake it and pay for ads of phony headlines. But those phony headlines read with statements like, inflation is down and Harris will lower health costs. How is this, right here on your screen in front of you, how is that not misinformation? But you won't hear anything about that because Kamala is the chosen one. Instead, what you have is USA Today calling Elon Musk a, quote, fascism-curious billionaire. And get this, a former Twitter executive wrote in The Guardian that the best way to control Musk is by issuing an arrest warrant for stirring up unrest. I don't think those are just empty words, because right on cue, the European Union sent Elon Musk a threatening letter warning him not to spread, quote, harmful conduct or content that could break the EU's laws. It might sound ridiculous. It certainly sounds ridiculous to an American, jail time for posting online, but that's exactly what's happening over in Europe. That's what's happening in the UK. Riots broke out after 3 little girls were stabbed to death at a party, and these were the worst riots the UK has seen in over a decade. Hundreds have been arrested, but not just for the violence on the streets. If you post something online that the government deems insulting or abusive or, quote, stirs up racial hatred, cops show up at your door with handcuffs.
The offence of incitement to racial hatred involves publishing or distributing material which is insulting or abusive, which is intended to or likely to start racial hatred. So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material and then follow up with identification arrests and so forth. So it's a really, really serious. People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
This is not an empty threat. People have been arrested for what they post on Facebook. London Police Commissioner said if you break their law, they'll come after you, even if you're Elon Musk.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you. Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law. You can be guilty of offences of incitement, of stirring up racial hatred. There are numerous terrorist offences regarding the sort of publishing of material.
Monstrous thoughts dressed up in a fancy English accent. America might feel like a long way from sending cops into your house for making a nasty Facebook post, but how far are we really? The media just made it clear they want to see people who disobey them punished, and our government has been all too happy to do the punishing. So who's here to stand up for free speech? If we want to remain a free nation, we all have to. The establishment's biggest enemy isn't misinformation. It's an informed, free-thinking electorate that makes its own decisions based on common sense and facts instead of fear and lies. Can't let our country slip into tyranny, the tyranny we're seeing across the Atlantic.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.